Hello, I'm Heather Dawson, and welcome to California Life. As always, we bring you the best of California every week on our show. So let's start with the best colleges in the state, according to Forbes. At number 1, Williams College is the leading higher education institution in the U.S., followed by Stanford University and Swarthmore College. The first Ivy League school to show, Princeton University, comes in at number 4. 2 other Ivies made the top 10, Yale University at number 6 and Harvard University at number 7. Rounding out the 10 finest schools in America are Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Amherst College, U.S. Military Academy, and Pomona College.
It's known as the city of trees and PhDs, but those aren't the only things you'll discover here in Claremont. Head to this picturesque town about 30 miles east of downtown Los Angeles, and you'll discover what some call the best kept secret in LA.
You kind of get like an East Coast feel in a West Coast environment. It's not like anywhere else in Southern California.
Thanks to its tree-lined streets, the world-renowned Claremont colleges, and dozens of locally owned restaurants and shops.
There's not one chain here.
The Claremont Village alone is home to more than 150 different businesses. Among them, the Bath Workshop, where you can customize all sorts of lotions and potions.
Another smell. Oh, that smells so good.
We have over 200 fragrances that they can choose from. And since we don't have any fillers and, the mineral oils and the chemicals and stuff, a little bit goes a long way.
Speaking of going a long way,
we have customers who drive, an hour and a half to get here.
Claremont also has an actual record store, Rhino Records. And for those who love cheese, there's Cheese Cave.
We try to have at least 150 different cheeses at any given time. We kind of have the perfect cheese for every occasion.
Take a stroll through the village and you'll find all sorts of unique shops like this one, Rio de Hojas. The sunshine outside can't compare to the bright, colorful goods inside.
Because we need some color in our life like we experience at other places.
Terry Riojas grew up in Claremont and says setting up shop there was a no-brainer.
It's a very connected community.
The community is also committed to using ethically sourced products and is Southern California's first fair trade town.
It's something I look for when I do my buying. It's something that I seek out.
And it's something Deborah Gonzalez says she's been doing ever since opening her boutique on a mission more than 2 decades ago.
It's a wonderful thing all the way around, just sort of a more holistic way of approaching business. I feel like I was a little bit of a trailblazer with it.
The fair trade movement isn't the only trend that's gaining momentum in Claremont. Heirloom specializes in upcycling. What is the idea behind it?
The idea behind it is taking items that normally you would dispose of or use for one thing but maybe not consider it for another thing and put an artistic flair on it.
For example, turning empty wine bottles into chandeliers.
2, 1.
Perhaps one of the best examples of upcycling you'll find in Claremont is the Packing House. It was built in 1922 as a lemon processing plant. Nearly a century later, it's home to all sorts of shops, restaurants, and art galleries, even a circus school.
The building itself, to me, is alive and breathing in a sense. It isn't just a box. It's a building with character and with a history.
Sal Medina is the owner of Packing House Wines, which offers up to 1,400 different wines at any given time.
Our wine shop mirrors the community as a whole, where it's very diverse and eclectic and well-traveled to some degree.
And where everyone is welcome.
If you're walking randomly through the street, people will stop and say hello and talk to you. Everyone loves to say, stop and smell the roses, but in Claremont, we truly stop.
Bringing you the best of California from Claremont, I'm Audra Stafford for California Life.
And coming up next on California Live, we're talking with a Shark Tank success story who has created a lighter, healthier drink that's worthy of Americans' wine culture. It's all coming up next when we continue right here on California Live. Don't go away. Welcome back. Our guest is Shark Tank success story Jayla Siciliano. After striking a deal with Mark Cuban, Jayla has created a lighter, healthier drink that's worthy of America's wine culture. Its unique blend of low-calorie ingredients and great taste make Bonafere the ultimate wine spritzer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I have to say, I've actually tried the product and I loved it. I think I might be the perfect demographic because, you know, you go to an event and maybe you don't want a beer, maybe you don't want a really heavy daiquiri, and it's somewhere just light and in between. What made you create this?
Similar to you, I used to work in an industry where there were a lot of dinners and travel, and I'm not a big beer drinker, but I love wine. And as I was getting older, I found I kind of needed a lighter option that I could sip on, have a few glasses, still make it to the gym in the morning. So I started making wine spritzers at home, and then I found friends started asking for them, and I decided this was really needed on the market. I quit my job, thought I'd have it off the ground in a year, and it's taken me quite a while to get it going, but things are finally going really well.
And you did have some hiccups early on.
It took me a year and a half to raise the first round of funding, and our first bottler ended up putting the caps on incorrectly, and the caps were leaking. We were actually shipping boxes and they were showing up soaking wet. So I lost over $100,000 worth of inventory, almost had to close the doors, ended up kind of finding a new bottler. My investors put in more money for a new production run, but I had no marketing money at that point. So that's when one of my advisors was like, you need to go on Shark Tank. So I applied, I actually got on, and that gave us a much needed boost of exposure to kind of get things going.
Were you surprised when Mark Cuban came forward?
Yeah, I was shocked, actually. I didn't think I was going to get a deal because I had so many issues going into the business. I'd already raised all this money. Alcohol is a crazy industry. So super, super thankful that he made me an offer and ended up partnering with him. He's been amazing to work with.
I love the packaging, and you have the aluminum. Tell me a little bit about that.
So that was actually Mark's initiative. Right after we closed the deal, he was saying, we need a pool-friendly container. We found this unique aluminum bottle that's made in Europe. It's definitely that perfect fit for this lighter, kind of healthier summertime wine option.
What are your plans on just marketing it?
We're really focused on a lot of moms, but it's really people who are kind of active and healthy. They love to drink wine, but they think about kind of what they're putting in their body. They think about the ingredients. We have a full nutritional panel on the back of every bottle, so you can see exactly what's in it. It's 0 sugar, nothing added to it, no preservatives. So really doing a lot of fitness events, fashion events. We work with a lot of spas and salons, and so very kind of grassroots marketing. And we finally got to a point where we're able to donate 1% of sales back to micro-lending programs. I never would have gotten this off the ground if somebody didn't give me money and believe in me to do this, so that's something I'm really passionate about, and giving that back.
How many calories are in a serving?
100 calories in an 8-ounce serving, so 300 calories in the whole 750 ml bottle, so about half the calories of regular wine.
It is something that you have to taste, so what's the best way for somebody to get the product?
We can ship to 37 states online at bonafere.com. We're in most Whole Foods throughout California and Texas, Total Wine, and select retailers. If you go to our website, you can see a retailer's page on there.
Well, thank you so much, Jayla. And again, I'm a big fan. I do love it, and I wish you all the success.
Awesome, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And coming up next here, we've got the best of entertainment, so don't go away.
There is no doubt type 2 diabetes has reached epidemic levels. With November being World Diabetes Month, it's astonishing to realize that over 2 million people suffer from type 2 diabetes in California alone. That number rises to more than 30 million in the United States and a whopping 450 million worldwide.
The researchers are saying that if this trend continues, by the year 2040, 1.8 billion people will be diabetic worldwide.
Ernest Kwanzaa, who's now a lifestyle strategist specializing in pre-diabetes and a type 2 diabetes cure, was diagnosed with severe type 2 diabetes in 2009 and began to look for answers.
In my case, when I was diagnosed, I went back to my doctor and I asked him, Dr. Robinson, can type 2 diabetes be cured? He said to me, yes, it can be, using several approaches all working together.
So Ernest began researching remedies with the help of both Western and Eastern doctors and found a formula that cured him. Today, Ernest lives without type 2 diabetes and is sharing his story.
My own story was even featured by WebMD in their magazine WebMD Diabetes, as well as on their website. That in itself is a powerful testimonial and a confirmation that type 2 diabetes can be reversed and cured.
10% of diabetes cases are actually type 1 diabetes, where the pancreas no longer secretes insulin. This means the patient is reliant on insulin shots or patches.
The remaining 90% of all cases of diabetes is the type 2. In this case, the pancreas still secretes insulin. However, the insulin is not enough to transport the excess sugar buildup in the person's body to the muscles to be used as fuel that fuels our body. At that stage, the person becomes insulin resistant.
And Ernest found in his research with contributing doctors that prediabetes and type 2 diabetes are easier to reverse when they're being managed. Kwanzaa says reversing type 2 diabetes is best achieved using several approaches together.
This includes diet, exercise, and supplement, followed or used in a certain sequence in order for it to have effect.
And that plan is what cured Ernest of his type 2 diabetes.
I remember the day that my doctor said to me, "Ernest, you're no longer diabetic." I was so happy, and ever since I tell the story to everybody, and then they say, how? This is the reason why I really wanted to share with people that, look, don't just manage diabetes because it's going to progress. It can be reversed. Here is the evidence.
And his journey to a diabetes-free life inspired Ernest to write his book, Diabetic's Journey.
The purpose of my book, Diabetic's Journey, is to make available to the reader my own experience with type 2 diabetes and the research work that went into it, and also to present them with the evidence that type 2 diabetes can be reversed and cured.
In his book, Kwanzaa talks about a diabetes cure, which prompts the question, can prediabetes and type 2 diabetes be reversed?
There is absolutely no evidence or scientific research that has found that type 2 diabetes cannot be reversed.
The program that cured Kwanzaa's diabetes is now available to the public. You can learn more about the diabetes program at two websites, diabetesselfcure.com and justfordiabetics.com. Ernest's book is available at diabeticsjourney.com.
So I'm excited to share all this information with the public and invite people to try the book and the Diabetes Cure program for themselves.
Bringing you the best of California, I'm David Wiley for California Life. Type 2 diabetes has become an epidemic in our country, with nearly 30 million Americans diagnosed with the disease. November is National Diabetes Month, and research shows that a significant percentage of those living with type 2 diabetes are in the Hispanic community. For Latin chef and author Leticia Moreno-Schwartz, there's a family connection, and that's why she's teamed with Merck to work on a new documentary called A Touch of Sugar.
Type 2 diabetes is a very personal topic to me. My grandfather died from complications of the disease, and my grandmother really didn't have the right resources and the right information to help him cope with the disease. And as a chef and as a Latina, I understand that there are some common challenges that Hispanics face across the country that are pretty much the same, like eating healthy, exercising, and working with your doctor on a treatment plan that's right for you. And the alarming fact, David, is that almost 12% of the Hispanic adults in this country are already diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. That's what brought me to partner with Merck on this documentary called A Touch of Sugar, which really raises awareness about type 2 diabetes, especially among underserved communities.
It's said that type 2 diabetes will affect more than 50% of Hispanic men and women in the U.S. over their lifetimes. The documentary, which is narrated by acclaimed actress Viola Davis, dives into the type 2 diabetes epidemic and aims to give people hope.
I hope that people will feel inspired to realize that they're not alone in this journey, and people will come together to make fundamental changes to the way that we treat, support, and advocate for people living with type 2 diabetes. And that's the goal of the movie, you know, it's to arm people with information and to raise awareness, but ultimately to help America confront this epidemic head on, one patient and one community at a time.
As part of the release of the documentary, A Touch of Sugar, a campaign called America's Diabetes Challenge has been launched.
That's a campaign that is linked to our documentary. And in this documentary, I share my passion. Along with the campaign, I share my passion as a chef for healthy cooking with another Latin woman living in California, and how she struggles to manage her type 2 diabetes for the lack of education and access to the right tools that she needs to manage type 2, just like my grandparents.
A Touch of Sugar will air on A&E on November 17th and on FYI on November 18th, 23rd, and 25th. Be sure to check your local listings for exact times. You can learn more about the film and the America's Diabetes Challenge at atouchofsugarfilm.com. Bringing you the best of California, I'm David Wiley for California Life. The last 2 years have brought the most destructive fire seasons on record, and this fire season has already been active with wildfires in both northern and southern California. And while TV coverage of those fires often shows long lines of flames, experts say that's not how most structures catch fire.
As many as 90% of structures ignite from a wildfire because of embers that pick up and loft.
And with the strong Santa Ana winds in Southern California and the Diablo winds in the north, those embers can create destructive firestorms.
And those embers, they pick up and fly. They literally become like a shower. Imagine rain, but it's all on fire, coming, whether it's at 12 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour. These embers pick up, they loft, they regularly go as much as a half mile.
So one of the most important things you can do to protect your home is to look at the landscaping that surrounds the residence.
So you want to make sure the first 5 feet there is nothing that can catch fire. So you pay attention to make sure your bushes and plants are 5 feet away, that you have rock up against your house. And then you can begin to look at things like the attic vents and the various other materials that are there.
Another very real way to protect your home and everything inside is through insurance.
Yeah, for most people, their home is their greatest asset, and having the right insurance policy, that's your first line of defense in recovering after a natural disaster. And making sure you have that right insurance policy can be as simple as pulling out your phone, taking a video of all of your belongings, take an inventory of what you have, and don't forget those key areas like garages, in cabinets. Take that information to your insurance company or your agent and consider additional coverages such as building code coverage, replacement cost coverage. Consider potentially even an inflator coverage, because oftentimes we know that after natural disasters, building costs increase.
And similar policies are available for renters as well. It's so important to make those insurance decisions ahead of time, so when a disaster does come, you have coverage that works for you.
First and foremost, you need to listen to local authorities. If they tell you to evacuate, leave your property. And when you do that, call your agent. In most cases, policies have coverage for additional living expenses, so to help cover your living expenses when you're away from your home.
You can learn more about how to protect your home in the case of a disaster and the benefits of insurance during wildfire at apci.org or at disastersafety.org. Bringing you the best of California, I'm David Wiley for California Life.
That's it for us. If you missed any part of our show, go to our website, californialifehd.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm your host, Heather Dawson. We'll see you next time.
Watch us on our YouTube channel. Stay connected to our social media, like our blogs on Facebook. Follow our tweets on Twitter. And check out our posts on Instagram and Pinterest, where we bring you the best of California.